A logo, Artisan Entertainment. An FBI warning, any commercial use or duplication of this copyright material without prior licensing is forbidden by federal law. Violators may be subject to civil and/or criminal penalties. Now a view of the downtown Tulsa skyline zooms past towering buildings. Titles appear, starring Spaconia adult male number 1 as Clint Boone. Spaconia adult male number age equals Mr. Tim. Spaconia adult male number 4 is Miles Knapp. Spaconia adult male number 7 is Will Stacks. Spaconia adult male number 1 is Ben Sumner. Also starring, Spaconia adult male number 2 is TV radio news reporter. Spaconia adult male number 3 is Christopher Flowers. And Spaconia adult male number 6 as public address announcer. Casting by Leslie Harper CSA. Original score by David Nichtern. Music supervision by Tom McDougall. Visual effects supervision by J.J. Neville. DVD production supervision by Rick Marinon. Co-producer Corey Ellis. Executive producers Clint Boone, Clay Loney. Produced by Mika Roberts and PGA Dan McNeil PGA. Written and directed by Dylan Benson. NBC Productions Incorporated presents the 3:30 Bloopers Season 2 Episode 8, The Revenge of Tulsa's Channel 8. Over black, words appear, last week. Now in a flashback, Clint Boone stands with Miles Neff and Mr. Tim in the control room.
Last week our Get and Go 330 logo suddenly became on MySpace on YouTube. Many of the Instagram and YouTube.
A slide. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Kim my guest. In the control room.
At the POK Center if you want to talk about
KTUL 8.
What are you doing at Channel 8?
At the tower, Clint Boone stands with Mr. Tim at the control deck. Logos in the Fox 23 studio cover Charles Eli and Darren Polish. Facebook, Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe. During a fight, a blue screen reads, no signal. At the tower with Clint Boone and company. Back at Channel 8. With the company.
Miles Neff, Mr. Tim, you guys.
Now, Clint Boone stands at the tower's control deck in a room with Mr. Tim.
30 bloopers, and last week, social media became a huge factor. We had Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and instead of YouTube, when Kim I guessed, then we sent Miles Neff over to his own office, but instead, he decided to go to Channel 8. And now, here we are again, 12th week, doing our outstanding bloopers, and this time, Darren Polish is waiting to hear from New York City agent Will Stacks about the slide with Miles Neff and Donald Trump. And last year we talked about the Kris Kringle assassination. Miles Neff is now back in his office right now, so it's gonna be just me and Mr. Tim today. And this time, 50-50 would be a huge factor here, partner.
Well, Mr. Boone, it is so great to be back here again this week. As you know, things are starting to become even more interesting, that's for sure.
And so with that we're ready. Let's see the first blooper of the week. Columbia Pictures.
A slide reading Columbia Pictures.
330.
Well, needless to say, the 330 the movie would use Columbia Pictures as its production company.
Columbia Pictures on the 330. No, Aldrin Communications owns the 330, not Columbia Pictures.
Vintage stock.
Oh, look what we have here.
Vintage stock. Why is vintage stock on the 330 and not the 330 itself? My friend works for Vintage Stock, and still he tests out the video games every now and then.
Mr. Tim, if Vintage Stock was on the 330, Channel 8 would be live from Vintage Stock Broken Arrow. Vintage Stock not on the 330. And its partners, GameStop and EV Games. If these two were on the 330, they would be at either Woodland Hills Mall or... Hey, what happened to the words Vintage Stock?
Vintage stock's gone, leaving only the circle. Arrows read, buy, sell, trade. Underneath the emblem the words, Kim I guessed.
Mr. Tim, you are about to lose control here any second.
And hey, next thing you know you are about to subscribe to the television code of...
Mr. Tim, just the Vintage Stock emblem with words, buy, sell, trade, plus you've got movies, music, video games and more. And now Mr. Tim, yet again, you've got Kim I guessed on here. That's it. I am calling Miles Neff, so I can see what happened with Vintage Stock. And now, Mr. Tin,
The
you're
television
unsubscribed
code
to the
seal.
television code of the National Association of Broadcasters, just like most stations used to back in the 70s. Mr. Tin, again, vintage stock, GameStop, EV Games, Tim I guessed, and now you've got the 1965 NAV seal of good practice from a 1970s TV station sign-off. Mr. Tin, Mr. Tin, Mr. Tin, that's it, Mr. Tin, I'm calling Miles Neff. Miles Neff, hey, it's me, Clint Boone, from Tulsa's Channel 8. I'm here with Mr. Tin trying to do the 3:30 bloopers.
I am.
Miles Neff pops up.
Office. Right. Now,
Now in Miles Neff's office.
Clint Boone. It's now been 9 weeks of you being in my office, and you're still terrorizing Mr. Tin.
Yes, I was terrorizing him when he brought up the vintage stock logo without the words vintage stock, and he added Tim I guess to the logo, thinking she's on the 3:30, and I'm like, no. And then Mr. Tin brought up the 1965 NAV seal of good practice.
Clint Boone. This is the 12th week you guys have been doing this. Well, Stax is counting on you any minute. Any minute. Any minute.
Funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the financial support from viewers like you.
Minute. Any minute. The next time you do this to us again, you will be sent to Will Stax up in New York. And you will not be subscribing to the NAV television code again. Do you understand me, Clint Boone?
Yes, Your Honor. But I will not attempt to subscribe to the television code again. If I do, Will Stax will be getting on to me at any moment.
Well, alright then, you're free to go back to the control room to join Mr. Tin if you want.
Later at Channel 8.
Mark Bradshaw and Charles Ely, please report to the desk at this time. Thank you.
Funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the financial support from viewers like you. Funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the financial support from viewers like you. Funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the financial support from viewers like you. Funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the financial support from viewers like you.
Just wondering if things might change just yet. Well, that volume is all right there.
And that earring show cost us $1,000 and a 50-50.
Yes, this is Charles Ely from Tulsa's Channel 8. I was wanting to let you know that I would meet Miles Neff in here, so... Alright, I'll see you later on today. Thank you for calling Tulsa's Channel 8. Goodbye.
The next day in the control room.
Charles Ely. What? Charles Ely, he was in my movie. Back in 2015. Miles Neff versus the world. Miles Neff, you better be you this instant.
Miles Neff. As he stares you down, words appear. Miles Neff is watching you. Later, a slide depicting the double arrow reads, Mark Bradshaw.
Mark Bradshaw, why is he on the 3:30 and not Charles Ely? Now this 3:30 is a madhouse. Mark Bradshaw, plus you've got Leilani Jones Wilmore on the 3:30. Mr. Tin, Mark Bradshaw is not dating Leilani Jones Wilmore when Leilani Jones Wilmore is at WGVH and Mark Bradshaw is at Channel 8.
Miles Neff.
No, Mr. Tin, not Miles Neff. It's Leilani Jones Wilmore. That's dating Mark Bradshaw. The 3:30, not Mark Bradshaw and Leilani Jones Wilmore.
Credits roll over the Channel 8 building. The 3:30 bloopers. Unit Production Manager Todd Steedley. First Assistant Director Brian Key. Second Assistant Director Paul Hocutt. Second Assistant Editors Jeff Hefner, Wesley Coleman. Spiconi the cast, Adult Male Number 1 as Clint Hume. Adult Male Number 2 as Charles Ely. Adult Male Number 4 as Miles Neff. Adult Male Number 6 as Public Address Announcer. Adult Male Number 8 as Mr. Tim. Microsoft Cast, Microsoft Sam as himself. Microsoft Mike as Mark Bradshaw. Additional voices, Roy Samuelson as DVS Narrator, The Fate of the Furious. Paint cell provided by GE Paint and Animation Incorporated. Paint cell supervisor coordinator, Matt Myers. Original theme by David Nichtern. Theme recorded and mixed at Electronic Arts Incorporated, Redwood City, California. To be written and performed by Ayumi Hamasaki. Seinfeld theme, performed by Kitchen Camp. Go Off, performed by Lil Uzi Vert, Quavo, and Travis Scott. Stay the Night, performed by Taylor Alicia featuring Dylan Matthew. Special thanks. Columbia Pictures logo courtesy of Sony Pictures Entertainment. Vintage Stock. GameStop and NetGames logos courtesy of GameStop Corporation. Seinfeld courtesy of Sony Pictures Television. KTUL Tulsa's Channel 8. Logos for Dolby and Datasat in selected theaters. Copyright 2018 NBC Productions Incorporated. All rights reserved. NBC Productions Incorporated is the author of this motion picture for purposes of copyright and other laws. Distributed by NBC Productions Incorporated. This program has been described by the Media Access Group at WGBH. Read by Allison Harper. For more information about DVS, please call 1-800-333-1203 or by visiting the DVS website at access.wgbh.org.